Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the July 26th session of the Long Hill Township Committee. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Here.
Committeeman Maringolo?
Here.
Committeeman Paserchia?
Present.
Deputy Mayor Ray?
Present.
Mayor Schuler?
Here. I'm going to pass over the liaison reports for a moment and go straight to the consent agenda. Resolution 17-195 through 17-217. Does anyone have any questions, concerns, items to discuss?
I just need to recuse myself from 17-210.
Good idea. High praise from Jack.
Two, just one. What about 217?
217.
I don't think he asked it for just the association.
Motion to move consent agenda items 17-195 through 17-217 as stated in the agenda.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Maringolo?
Yes.
Committeeman Paserchia?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ray?
Yes, with the exception of 17-210.
Mayor Schuler?
Yes. Now we will get to the presentation of the swearing in of, I'm going to try to get this name correct, Jake Lampiasi. If I got that correct. And Chief Mazzio will.
Just like to introduce Jake Lampiasi. He's going to be sworn in tonight as a Long Hill Township police officer. He comes from Brick, New Jersey, where he resides. He had formerly been an officer special 2 at Pemberton Police Department, and we'd like to welcome him and swear him in tonight by Municipal Clerk Debbie Brooks. Pinning the badge on him tonight is going to be his father, Officer Jay Lampiasi from Brick Township Police Department, and his fiancee, Jessica.
I, Jake Lampiasi, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of New Jersey.
I, Jake Lampiasi, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of New Jersey,
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States and in this state,
and to the governments established in the United States and to this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the officer of police officer
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of police officer
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
and that I will not use my office to grant preferential treatment,
and that I will not use my office to grant preferential treatment,
nor to seek personal gain, favor, or advantage
nor to seek personal gain, favor, or advantage
not available to the general public.
not available to the general public,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Anybody here for
Great to be back in Long Island.
About all the rooms, what they're used for.
We'll do it again. No problem. And one more time, congratulations.
Thank you for your help.
Good night, Chief.
Okay, good to see you again. Welcome aboard. Congratulations.
Okay, shall now jump. There goes our audience. I'm going to roll back to the liaison reports, starting on the right this time.
All right. Mr. Sweeney is here, so if he has anything to report, he can let us know for DPW. Fire department, big report this week. Last Thursday, was Thursday night? Thursday night, most people probably don't know yet since the paper. There was a residential house fire off Myersville Road. I saw pictures of it, it wasn't pretty. The garage caught on fire, attached garage. And luckily, the quick response of Millington Sterling Fire Companies, they were able to suppress the fire. Millington worked on the inside, Sterling on the outside. Basically, they saved the house. So, still gonna be a problem for the insurance carrier, but they saved the house. Nobody was hurt. It was a great job by everybody on the ground, good teamwork. And so thank you, everybody. And plus all the mutual aid companies that came in from out of town. I'm not sure who was there. I know New Providence was there, Berkeley Heights,
New Vernon.
New Vernon. So thank you. I know they're tuning in tonight. So thank you for your help. And great job by everybody.
Thank you.
Nothing from me.
Nothing for you. Guy?
Thank you, Mayor. So, the seniors invited me to come speak at their last meeting. First, we wanted to thank publicly the Township Committee for their continued assistance for the senior center. So, thank you guys, and they asked me to pass their thanks along to you. The main reason they invited me was to speak about the potential sewer sale. So they had some excellent questions. I think that's why it's important that we continue to have these outreaches. There were probably a good half hour worth of questions that were asked, and I answered to the best of my ability. I explained to them that we will be back in the future with representatives from NJAW American Water, assuming the ordinance passes this evening. In terms of any other stuff, I think a lot of it has to do with the administrator function. So I don't know if it's necessary to talk about all those things here. But if there are questions as later on when we go into the discussion role of business, I think it's more appropriate to talk about it at that time. So I pass it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Bruce?
HPAC did not have a meeting this past month due to lack of quorum. They are still looking at trying to do the Cooper Tombstone project. That's kind of top of their agenda. Redevelopment, the designated redeveloper has been doing some engineering and surveying, which you might have seen down towards the thermoplastics area. The results of that information should be coming back to them within the next week, and we'll be getting together to talk about how to make application to the DEP for some of the redevelopment of those properties, and that'll be hopefully done sometime in August. The newsletter, the editorial copy is being put together this week, and hopefully it should be finished by next week, and then off to the printer, and then out to the homes towards the end of August, beginning of September for the fall edition. And that's it.
Mr. Mayor, I do apologize. I see our area representative from JCP&L, so could I give a quick update? Because I don't know how long that gentleman, Rob Walton, is able to stay. The charging station which we approved, which JCP&L is going to pay for both the actual station itself and for the installation of that, we've identified a spot out back that's appropriate. We have secured the services of a local electrician, which will give us an estimate. That estimate presumably will come in well below what JCP&L is willing to pay. I think the amount they recommended is probably well in excess of what is necessary. So that's going to move along pretty quickly. For those that are listening at home, The charging station will be back behind the building, closest to the building, but in the direction of the tennis courts. Hopefully I've identified the spot correctly. But that's where it is, and that thing should be probably installed, I think, over the next couple of months. And that's it.
Thank you. Resolution 17-218, certifying our annual audit. We actually did fairly well on the audit. I'm going from memory here, but I think our only finding was the finding that we see every year regarding separation, concerns around separation of duties. And that is, basically just a result of the fact that we have a very small organization, and it really is, we don't have anyone else to task with the other job. So, and that was our response. But there are additional control mechanisms in place to attempt to mitigate that. So, can I get
Move
it in?
resolution 17-218 in the agenda.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Maringolo?
Yes.
Committeeman Pasurcia?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ray?
Yes.
Mayor Schuler?
Yes. Resolution 17-219 is actually approving the audit corrective action plan.
Move resolution 17-219 as
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Maringolo?
Yes.
Committeeman Pasurcia?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ray?
yes.
Mayor Schuler?
Yes. Ordinance 401-17, salary and wage ordinance. This is not changing anyone's salary. This is just changing the ranges of salaries that are on the books that can be given to people. This is an introduction. Any comments, concerns from the committee?
I move ordinance 401-17 is stated in the agenda with a second reading of August 16th, 2017.
Second?
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Maringolo?
Yes.
Committeeman Pasurcia?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ray?
Yes.
Mayor Schuler?
Yes. Ordinance 402-17, this is second reading for adoption. Ordinance,
May I speak at this point?
in a moment. Ordinance of the Township of Long Hill in the County of Morris, New Jersey, approving an agreement of sale between the Township and New Jersey American Water Company Incorporated for the sale of the Township's wastewater system and authorizing a proposal to be printed on the ballot for consideration by the voters within the Township at the general election on November 7th, 2017, providing for the sale of the Township's wastewater system to New Jersey American Water. So to be clear, this is an ordinance to put a question on the ballot in November. This is not us authorizing the sale of the sewer plant. That's correct. And at this time, I will now open the meeting to the public for comments on this ordinance. Please. If you could state your name and address for the record,
Hello.
please.
Hello, yes, I'm sorry, Dennis. I'm sorry. It's a bad way to start off.
At least you're not throwing it at us.
Yes, I think my voice.
Yeah.
It's actually not us that
Actually,
we want.
sorry.
It's all right. The microphones just help the people at home hear you. go.
Thank you.
Two hands.
Yes, I am Neil Lorber, Basking Ridge Road, Millington.
Mr. Lawver, could you spell your last name, please?
Lorber.
Thank you.
But I want two hands. Well, I want two hands free, Dennis. If that's all right. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry. Okay, I don't want it too close.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you do, okay.
And the folks at home do.
So you got that spelling, okay?
thank you.
Right. I'm speaking tonight for the Referendum Validity Caucus. This is about Ordinance 40217. What I'm planning to say, I think will actually help you get an affirmative vote, if I assume that's what you want to happen in November. If you improve the wording of the question that voters will be voting upon, if you improve voters' ability to understand what they're voting on, to understand the question. Look, the townspeople, for the last 35 years that I've been here, they know it as the sewer system. They've always known it as the sewer system. My June 2017 bill, and theirs as well, of course, reads sewer charge, sewerage. So this term, sewer plant and wastewater system, is all brand new, and as the question for the ballot reads at this moment, the word sewer, I believe, only appears one time, and I have already urged the Township Committee to insert the word sewer adroitly 3 additional times in the text of the question. So I'm speaking tonight to reinforce that request and to further urge the committee to very seriously consider it. Now, even the Echo Sentinel, until very recently, in their articles about the sale going back a year or so, they always refer to it as the sewer system, the sewer system. Now, they've just started, in the last couple of months, to be swept into this new nomenclature, this new terminology. So that's what I want. That's what the Referendum Validity Caucus wants. And that's my point one. I don't want to belabor it.
Mr. Lorber, if you wouldn't mind, could you help us identify where you think the 3 words should be inserted?
Well, Brendan, I sent you 5 copies.
We actually discussed it at as I told you we would, at the Wastewater Advisory Committee after the public meeting, and Jack, I believe you were present at that. I mean, Tom is in the audience as well. I think we came to the conclusion that the insertion would actually complicate the question, and whenever we thought about the sewer system, that really was in a lot of people's minds, it's just the pipe infrastructure. But what we're putting up for sale here is the pipe infrastructure and the processing plant itself. And I think it was mentioned that the building is actually the wastewater plant. That's actually the name of the building. And so certainly at the advisory committee, we thought that would be the question as written was in its simplest and clearest form for those reasons.
Well, I'm only here to, I mean, I am here to make the request. I'm unhappy to be hearing what you're feeding back. Do you have a copy of what I sent you with you tonight?
I don't have it with me tonight.
Yeah, and I don't either. I may have it in the car, but hey.
Mr. Lorber,
Yeah.
are we talking about the question itself, or are we talking about the explanation, or are we talking both?
Basically the explanation, but it may be also the little part that goes
The question.
before that. Basically, every time the word wastewater appears, I have urged you to put immediately afterwards the word wastewater, in parentheses, the word sewer. So it would read those 3 times, wastewater, parentheses, sewer, close paren, system. Wastewater, paren, sewer, close paren, system.
Mr. Lorber, can would you indulge me so I can ask a question of our counsel and maybe even our legal advisory firm? Is there a legal reason why it would preclude us from putting the words commonly referred to in the explanation, not in the actual sale, but in the explanation right after commonly referred to as the sewer system? I mean, is there a reason not to?
There's no
Legal.
legal reason. I'm subject to being overruled by our outside counsel here, but I don't see any legal reason you couldn't do that. It's really just a case of what you think will be clearest to the residents.
And the thing, we did discuss this actually at some length. Rick and Megan were also on the phone. And I think certainly coming from the Wastewater Advisory Committee, as we discussed it, we thought it would be more confusion than anything else, because you know, for the reasons I just stated. And so that was that you know, as I told Mr. Lorber, I would bring it back and we would discuss it. So that was the recommendation from the wastewater.
Yeah, and just to kind of take the opposite position, I agree with Mr. Lorber. As a layman who is not on the wastewater committee, some of the terms are unfamiliar to me. So I agree, if we add into the explanation area, commonly referred to as the sewer system, I see no harm in it, and I see it aiding the people who are unfamiliar with some of these terms.
If you're going to edit, if you're going to edit, and it's just a suggestion, I suggest that you put sanitary sewer.
As
I
opposed,
think it could, because there are storm sewers too.
Right, just to be specific.
Just to be more
That one
specific.
is a legal specific. I mean, I agree with you. I'm trying to, I mean, I've been on the Sewer Advisory Committee for 6 years and did a lot of the analysis work on the budgeting. And I'm in trying to backtrack myself from knowing what I know. You know, most people don't call it the waste. You're right. I agree. They don't call it the waste. They don't call it the waste. They don't call it the wastewater system. You call it the sewer system. You're right. My bill that I get, that everybody gets every year, says sewer bill.
Just so
Right.
you know, I'm going to say that in the first sentence of your explanation, it does refer to it as sewer utility.
Yes, but like many things, if you don't catch someone's attention in the first 2 sentences, everything else is.
yeah, I mean, you know, just I mean, I think you're. You know, it seems that, you know, 3 of us at least. I'm kind of. I certainly don't have an opinion one way or the other, as opposed to, you know, Guy's suggestion. So where do you want to put it in?
Yeah,
I mean, that's right.
and I will let me extend this a little bit further. And I wasn't at the last wastewater meeting, so I don't know if it was discussed. But do we need to be clearer about what is comprising what we're selling? Do we need to say in at least a description of the referendum that it's the sewer plant, the piping in the streets, and the pumping stations?
Okay, and to be fair to town
It
council,
is-
can we ask our
yes,
outside
yes,
council,
yes.
because that's where they are expertise and, or experts, I should say, that's their expertise.
But I mean, just
Without trying to make it too long.
Yeah, exactly. And just to back up, by the time that
Right.
November 7th rolls around, you know, hopefully everyone who is putting the yes or a no here has been educated as to what exactly it is that they're voting on, because they're certainly having enough opportunity.
Just from a municipal attorney standpoint, you don't want to make too many changes to the ordinance
just
if
gonna
you're going to
say that,
adopt it
yeah.
tonight, or you risk having to amend it, continue the hearing
Yeah.
on the ordinance as amended. So any changes you make should be minimal.
And to be fair to Mr. Lorber's suggestion, that's exactly what he advised or suggested. Very simply, wherever it says wastewater, to say commonly referred to as the sewer system. I found it interesting, and I'm not picking on the mayor, when you said, I have been on the sewer advisory committee, and that was a Freudian slip there.
Yep.
But it almost proved Mr. Lorber, or if not, proved Mr. Lorber's point.
So what actually are we, I mean, now you want to put in something in parentheses, or do you want to put it in the
My
explanation?
suggestion is in the second sentence of the explanation, after wastewater utility system, comma, commonly referred to as sewer system, sanitary sewer system, comma, and will make substantial capital improvements. So it is following the words wastewater utility system to identify it as the sewer system.
Okay, I mean, that would
Mr. Lorber, would you?
Well, it sounds much better than the way it's presently worded. I would still urge you to include that word sewer in paren after each wastewater word. But I'm glad to get what you offer. I prefer that I urge that you go further to include the word in paren.
Right. Yeah, and in the explanation area is where I'm suggesting we add the sewer system commonly referred to language.
Yes, precisely. That's the important.
And to be fair, that's exactly, the explanatory statement in any referendum is where we're supposed to clarify what it means, because typically, the referendum question, baffles us. That's why you have the explanation. So
we've agreed,
yeah,
right?
I think so.
Right. Right. I mean, but Mr. Lorber has other points.
Yes, one other.
If I could just ask one last question. Is there any consideration for putting in the ballot question to say wastewater / sewer, or do we think that confuses?
I think it confuses things, and putting in the explanation,
That's the point in the
That's the
explanation. Yeah.
point of the explanation.
And you have 4 months to educate.
Exactly, yeah.
Public.
Yeah.
Well, assume there are some people that might miss it and just go to vote.
I agree with you. I can't repress saying that.
Yeah.
So just so it's clear, Bruce, we're inserting in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th line after wastewater utility system? Was that your?
Correct.
Commonly referred to as sanitary sewer system.
Correct.
Thanks.
Thank you. And my second point, you're going to have about $6 million left over after the debt pay down. I think the first money.
That's actually incorrect. If I could-
Roughly,
now,
I don't
that
know exactly.
All the proceeds must go to pay down all debt.
Outstanding debt.
So we have about 14, Len, just 14 and a half?
14. We're at 14 million in total debt.
So
Len,
the
would you
ta-
mind speaking, because the people at home?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 14 millions in total outstanding debt. With the $11 million in proceed from the sales, we're still short by 3 to be completely paid off of all the debts.
So point being, there is no leftover money. All of the proceeds paid down existing debt service to the township.
Okay.
If that precludes your question.
I was not aware of it, but that's actually not my point. That was just a little bit of a lead-in. We have to, ethically, many people believe, and many more people than I've heard from, believe that we have to ensure provision for the 4 current employees in the sewer department. We have to ensure that they will have employment. If not, with the New Jersey Water Company, then we have to put them into the Department of Public Works or whatever. They have lengthy investment in the retirement system here in town, and we're ethically obliged to ensure that they are not victimized by the sale. And there's only 4 people involved, to my understanding. And about 2 years ago, I believe you, the Township Committee, went on record and publicly stated that your resolve to ensure that. But we haven't heard anything about it, any commitment about it recently. And so, well, the people are watching to see what happens, not necessarily here tonight, but between now and the voting. They want to see if you will come out with yes or no and commit to providing transfer jobs if necessary. If necessary, if they are not employed by the water company. So, I don't want to sound impolite. Will you or will you not commit to providing transfer jobs for these 4 sewer department workers? I want the record to show that at least I ask you tonight to make a commitment.
So we cannot make, obviously cannot make a commitment on behalf of New Jersey American to ensure they remain employed. You are correct in that we did discuss personnel as a consideration of the sale of the sewer plant, but I don't recall this committee ever actually confirming that it was a requirement to maintain their jobs. It was something that we put in, we did put it into the bid document that we expect that opportunities, if they exist, they be interviewed, and if they qualify, that they are employed, but that becomes then up to New Jersey American.
Well, it's only 3 people anyway, one gentleman.
One person resigned. We just passed a resolution. One person has already resigned as a result of this, so we're really down to 3 people.
I don't know if it was a result of this.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it didn't work that quick.
No.
I do also know, and Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, but the employees have reached a point where they are at least partially vested in the pension system. So they are not losing their eligibility for the New Jersey pension system. It's prorated based upon the time that they've actually put into the system.
Yet it remains possible that, say, one wishes to stay for whatever reasons.
I think, Mr. Lorber, the short answer to your question is that we can't make that commitment tonight. We absolutely can't. We cannot make the commitment that you asked for. It's on the record that you've asked it, but I think it should be on the record that we can't make that commitment this evening.
Unless, let me. Yeah, I'll hold the body if, you know, if there's any interest in that.
From my perspective, the department head is going to evaluate the personnel and the opportunities that he has at the time. We're talking about sometime, should this be approved, we're talking about transfer sometime in the middle of next year, which he always needs help during the summer months, possibly retirements. You know, I really don't know a year from now what our employment opportunities are going to look like. And to reiterate what Brendan has said is, I don't think we as a body could make that commitment right now.
As long as it's made before the vote, because people are waiting on that as one key element in their decision as to which way to vote in November. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lorber.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Lorber, thank you for your suggestion regarding the explanation. I think that was
Thank you.
very, very good.
Please, come on up.
Dennis says keep it short, but I'm always keeping it short. My name is Joseph Connolly. I live in Gillette, and I've been in this town 45 years, and I used to live in Millington. So I see the town from both ends for many years. Neil's comment, I need to be clarified. Where will that sewer system, whatever the words, appear? It shall not be an explanation. Nobody gets that down far into it. Worked the polls many years. They read yes or no. They don't read the rest of it. So it's got to be in the statement on top. Shall the township, that's where the sewer system, or whatever words you want to put, should be. Because once they get the yes or no, they're not reading anymore. Or not going to read prior to that. And they don't have this ordinance to read, which whereas, whereby, and all that. That's too much for anybody. Anyway, so what is the final conclusion of where you're going to put whatever words you're going to put?
I believe it was agreed that it would be in the description.
In the explanation or the description?
In the explanation. And
That's no good.
And I asked the question whether there was any interest from the rest of the committee to put it
Because,
above, and the answer
let me
was
tell you, I worked the polls. They're never going to get this. Too lengthy. You need to make it in the statement, shall the township. It's got to be in that statement because they answer the question right after that. So have it below that, it's academic because they're not going to read it. If you want you to make it, say lest they read. Go to page 3 in the papers or page 7 in the Echo Sentinel, so they have to skip the pages. They're not going to read it. So I suggest whatever you're going to put in, that you put it in, shall the township of Long Hill sell a plan. That's where it's got to be.
You know, I have no problem with Mr. Connolly's suggestion. I'm looking at out in the audience at our outside counsel. In your experience, can you guide us? Typically, how does this question appear?
You're talking behind me now.
Yes, I am, but
Sorry,
don't be.
apologies. You have someone
Taking
sneaking
my
up.
3 minutes?
No.
No,
We'll stop the clock, Joe.
yeah.
Yes, I'm Rick Saper with Hawkins, Delafield, and Wood. And there is no standard, and there's no standard methodology, as to your question. I think there's language in the statute that requires certain wording, and it refers to plant. And so here you're talking about a plant and the collection system as well. And so in discussing this previously, we thought that the system together, it made sense to call it a wastewater system, the plant and the pipes. It sounds like there's a lot of historical kind of context here about referring to the system as a sewer plant and sewer collection system. And I think if you want to clarify that, to me, that's not a material kind of deviation from the statutory requirements.
So either way is what you're saying.
I believe that's
You
correct.
could do it both ways.
In fact, I think the
Put
statute
in the
actually says
explanation
substantially.
and put it in the statement.
Right.
Because nobody's going to go past yes or no.
Well, I said, I asked it before, so I'll just.
Yeah,
No, but
I think you're selling our voters short because I do believe that the question and then the
You
explanation.
know what this is? When was the last time you felt the pulse of the voters? You don't know. I listen to them and they say, what do you mean it's wastewater? Where's that? Is that my drain outside my house? They don't understand. They understand sewer system. Sewer, whatever the words you want to put in there.
I'll stick my nose out there. I think we just heard from Rick Saper that he's fine either way. If in some way it helps clarify what the question is, I have no problem. I would suggest we just simply add, however we want to phrase it. Is it called sewer system? Do we have to
Commonly
call it?
referred to as, something like
Right.
that.
Same as in the interpreter.
Or i.e., whatever.
You won.
Yeah.
I think we have the votes, Joe.
Okay, because let me just tell you, people go to the polls, the quicker they get out of there, and they don't read the information as they come to the door. They're going to say yes or
You've
no.
convinced me.
Okay, good, that's one thing clarified.
Do we need to do sanitary sewer system again?
It should be
We
sanitary.
just put the,
It has to
Yeah,
be
it has to be.
sanitary
it's
because.
what, non de plume, you know, put it in there.
So Joe, you don't want to quit while you're ahead?
Yeah, yeah.
If you have more?
Okay, over the period of time, and I've been at many township meetings, the old school and everything else like that, and meetings lately, phrase came up, kicking the can down the road as far as the sewer system. Now, I noticed that most of you people at least have been here one term, maybe 2 terms. So you were the guys that kicked the can down the road. Don't blame the guys before you. Blame yourselves. That's why we're at the point we are now, because you guys didn't do the thing then. Now, I may not blame you because it probably was a tricky business, but to sell out the public now by giving them this ordinance and not knowing what's going to come down the road with an quote-unquote supposedly new owner, you're doing the citizens of this town a disservice. So I don't think, my personal opinion, that the township committees, and including you people, have done the right thing for the public with the sewer system.
Joe, can I just clarify one point? First off, nobody sold previous committees down the river, so to speak.
Down
But
the road.
fact remains,
Road, they
the
did.
fact remains, it's only this committee that put anything into this system over the last 20 years. So if anything, and again, I'm not blaming past committees. I'm playing the ball as it lies. And the ball as it lies is $28 million over the next 20 years at a minimum. That's where the ball lies, and that's what we had to consider. I have no problem with past committees. Most of them are my friends.
I mean, it's academic now because they're passed.
So in fairness, right, largely this committee did $4.5 million or so back in 2012 or 2013. Out of a proposal that was on the table for about $9 million that had been bouncing around the committee for 4 or 5 years before that. And we weren't able to get consensus on the full $9 million, but we did bite off the 4.5 that had to get done. And one of our action plans was to continue spending $1.5 million a year on I&I remediation, which we were prepared to do and was discussed in the capital budget, but we tabled specifically because this topic of the sewer plant sale came up, and we didn't want to be investing $1.5 million of taxpayer money into a system that we were about to sell, potentially. So we had discussed it. We did have a we did have a 6-year capital plan on this. If you go back to the budgets and the capital budget planning from 2013, we were planning to spend money, and then the discussion about a possible sale came up.
Okay, you answered my second question.
Okay.
What have you done? And you just answered that question.
So, and one of the committees before, I don't remember the exact year, I'm going to guess that, Dennis, you might be able to correct me, 2008-ish, 2009-ish, big sewer bond to replace 6 out of the 8 pumping stations, or repair the 6 out of 8 pumping stations. Remember what year that was?
That was a short-lived proposal in '06.
But we did work, like Skyline Pumping Station, how did that, we did like 6 of the 8.
5 pumping stations out of 8.
5 out of 8 we did. So the previous committee had done.
I'm sorry, I'm talking about an earlier one, yes.
No,
A more recent one,
yes.
Where we spent 2 years replacing a pump that we had just replaced.
I'm talking about the original just replaced. That was probably 2008-ish or 2009-ish, I thought.
More recently than that.
Or maybe 10. So there was some investment in the system, and some of those pumping stations, by the way, are part of that 20-year capital plan that we received for $28 million that are just going to have to get replaced and upgraded again.
I'll take your words about doing what you did. One of the other things here, you know, the last meeting we had by the potential new owner, they were going to have various meetings. I see no schedule. I see no information given to the public. You know, November comes fast. And you have to acclimatize the people what's going on, because this is drastically going to change their lives and their kids' lives based on the 5-year plan or 3-year plan. So you need to give that information out, and the potential buyer should be giving more information to the public. And I know that just the changing of that word is going to mean a lot more to people than this wastewater system, all right? Which I thank you for doing that. So we need to have what's coming up with the new meetings when they have been. They got to be advertised. Because, you know, you talk to people and they say, what do you mean they're going to sell the sewer system? They don't know about it. But this is one of the important things that they're going to have to do that's going to affect their house and their families and the rest of it for years to come, forever.
We absolutely will. We've already reached out to a number of the community organizations. You know better than I do, the Knoll, the...
All right, if you want, okay.
If you could just...
Fine, let's address that now. I was going to do it later. So, as Joe, and you were one of the respected elder statesmen who were at the senior center the other day, who asked excellent questions. And I do appreciate some of your comments that day. So we're going to have meetings with the seniors. In these future meetings, we will include representatives from NJ American Water who can answer the technical questions far better than I can. But to the mayor's point, we've already met with the Knoll. I have contacted the Sunrise. The seniors, we will continue. School organizations, I would suggest the Little League maybe, because it's a set group. And any other organizations that you can come, because the larger the groups that we can meet with, the better in getting the message out. So
where will they meet?
We'll
can't meet in the soccer field. Got to meet here.
Well, we could meet at the senior center. I mean,
community center, senior center. I mean, we can.
Yeah, you can meet there, but you got to rent it if you're going to meet there. I need money.
Do we get a discount?
Yeah, I mean, Joe, I mean, I think we had the meeting 2 weeks ago, I believe, here, and I think the answer to your question is that there are things in motion, as guys just stated. The details of where we're actually going to have the meetings, I think that's just a little bit up in the air, but that will be decided shortly, and we'll be getting the message out to everybody concerned.
But you have to remember that the watchword is repeat, repeat, repeat. These people in town have busy lives. They're not looking at the newspaper every day, what's coming up. So you have to have a lot of media. How are they going to get the word? A lot of people don't buy the Echo Sentinel. A lot of people don't watch this show. This show I'm talking about.
No, that's not
people
true.
Don't watch us?
That's, Joe,
let me modify. Some people don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Very few.
We will make sure that there are sufficient quantity of meetings and forums and
I left something out. In addition to the meetings with the individual groups, we will probably have 4 or 5 more town hall meetings here, again with representatives from NJ American Water.
Okay, you're going to vote on the second reading tonight, which I wasn't aware last time I read it. So with that second reading, you're going to do the modification of the word sewer, whatever it's going to be. Jack will, faithful Jack will take care of it. All right, that's it. And if somebody else wants to speak, I'll give him the rest of my 3 minutes.
Thank you.
14 minutes,
Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, we'll close this to the public. And if anyone...
oh, I'm sorry.
So one other, just in looking this suggestion I might have in the actual proposal, do we want to state with all proceeds paying down existing debt?
Not in the proposal.
No, I don't think we need to, right? Because it's statutory, we have to do it, so.
Well, I understand, but
Plus, I don't think we can mess around with the
most people,
question
when you're
to that
going
extent.
in, might not know that statutorily you have to do it.
I know, but again, I mean, I think.
we didn't, right? We.
Yeah,
and-
but we do now. We discussed it at the last meeting, and you know, as part of that question is going to come up again and again, and I think we're going to answer it. And so,
Mr. Mayor, can we put Mr. Saper on the...
Understand again?
Yeah, on the spot yet again.
I do. Rick Saper with Hawkins, Delafield and Wood. The statute in section 40:62-5 does prescribe what you're supposed to put in the question, and it seems like the intent is to make it short and sweet. And so, for example, it says, shall the blank plant be sold for the sum of blank dollars, and that's it.
Okay.
So I don't think that it would make sense to include that in the question itself.
Can it be in the description?
You know, I might defer to Jack on that, but an issue came up last time that I think was a reasonable statement by the public when we were here, that you don't want to use the statement to market it, you know, to market it one way or the other. So somebody might interpret that way. I understand your point, that you're trying to be as clear as possible of what you're going to do with this transaction. So I wouldn't think that you're legally precluded from it. I don't think that it's necessary to be in there. Somebody might be unhappy about the fact that you know, as they raised the point last time, that you seem to be you know, they were afraid that the explanation would be used to market a response. So for that reason, you may want to not include that.
Well, it may substantially change the ordinance to the extent you'd have to continue the public hearing too.
Yeah.
Whereas the insertion of the same phrase in two spots is really just clarifying the current substance.
yeah, we don't want the explanation
Well,
to be War and Peace.
And one last point,
As Joe said, people are going to stop reading at some point.
and one last point, and to Mr. Connolly's suggestion, we will work with NJ American Water to make sure the schedule of meetings, as best we can determine, will be mailed out to each home. So, Joe, you will receive, well, I think we should probably send 2 copies to your home, because it was your suggestion. So we will outline the schedule of meetings that will be held here in Town Hall. The individual groups, I kind of think we would want to just work with them directly. But the meetings that are here at Town Hall, we will have a set schedule. And it will be mailed to every home.
Okay. Any other concerns or questions from the committee?
Motion to pass as amended, and I think Jack has already worked on it.
Yes, this motion will be to amend both the proposal and the explanation by inserting commonly referred to as the sanitary sewer system, so that the proposal will read, shall the Township of Long Hill in the County of Morris, New Jersey be authorized to sell its wastewater utility system, commonly referred to as the sanitary sewer system, to New Jersey American Water Company, Inc. for the sum of $11 million. In the explanation, the second sentence as amended will read, this agreement provides that New Jersey American Water Company, Inc. will provide and maintain all wastewater services to the existing customers of the township's wastewater utility system, commonly referred to as the sanitary sewer system, and will make substantial capital improvements, etc. So if that's acceptable, I would ask that somebody move it and second it, and then vote on the motion to amend. And then technically you need to open the public hearing briefly on the ordinance as amended, and then take a vote. As I say, I don't think it's changing the substance of the ordinance, so legally you can vote on it this evening.
So moved as amended.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Marindalo?
Yes.
Committeeman Paserchia?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ray?
Yes.
Mayor Schuler?
Yes.
That was just a motion to amend,
Correct.
not for adoption.
Now, I will open the meeting up to the public again for ordinance 402-17 as amended. Seeing none.
You got one.
I have a taker. Seeing one. Gotta come up, please. Otherwise, the public can't hear you. I was having a very difficult time hearing
Mr.
Committeeman.
We're going to charge you if you break it this time.
I couldn't hear Committeeman Paserchia at the last meeting when I was watching the videotape because he was never in front of the microphone.
And that's a bad thing?
The Scotsman makes jokes again.
Shattering the stereotype.
I just had a quickie. I understand then, as you just reported, and the gentleman, the attorney, just contributed, that the sentence referring to the Board of Public Utilities, the marketing sentence, will be removed. That's how I heard it.
What?
And I'm just asking
No.
that confirmation.
No, we were, the question was specifically around adding,
Commonly referred to as.
well, no, so the comment, I think he's referring to the comment from Rick, was in response to my suggestion to adding what the proceeds would be used for.
Yeah, I think.
And that could be construed as a marketing attempt, which is not permissible.
I think what Mr. Lorber is referring to is the last sentence of the explanation. The service rates to the customers of the township system will be subject to approval by the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities from time to time. And as I recall, we discussed that at the public forum, and it was determined that's a factual statement, not an attempt to sway the
Oh,
public.
okay, I'm sorry, we hadn't discussed that this evening, so
Yeah.
I'm not.
Am I correct?
So that stands?
That stands.
Okay.
The only change is the addition of the phrase that you suggested.
And we'll call it the Lorber Amendment.
Oh, no.
Lorber Connolly Amendment.
I just wanted that clarification. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. One more?
Joseph Conley, Gillette, and past member of Millington. The people who are watching tonight, and we don't know how many, sometimes this is empty, sometimes it's full. There's a pretty good crowd here tonight. I want to tell the public that this is a big impact on your current situation and probably your future situation. So once this township committee votes, it's going to be on the ballot. So in order for you to vote on November 7th, that's the first Tuesday after the first Monday, Civics 101, that you're going to have to vote on an important issue. And if you don't know enough about it, 5 guys here, you can ask them. You get online, ask the question, find out, but you have to ask questions. And I don't want you to come into the polling booth on November 7th and ask me, what does this mean? Because I can't tell you. All right? So please, November 7th is the date, and I'm assuming there's going to be 5 votes tonight, all yes, because that's how they voted last time. So, and let me just tell you can see this 4 more nights. What are the 4 nights you can see this show tonight? Thursday, 7:30, so-and-so at 9 o'clock, Sunday morning, 8:30, before Mass, okay? So you'll get a couple of themes, all right. Thank you for your time.
And YouTube TV, if you want to stream it anytime you want.
Or the link on the town website.
And your explanation, what you gave, what you've done in the past, there's 5 people here, elected officials. I like that, and I think the public was aware that you weren't sitting on your hands or kicking the can. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, closing,
Motion to adopt ordinance 402-17 on second reading.
As amended.
As amended, I apologize.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Maringolo?
Yes.
Committeeman Pasurcia?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ray?
Yes.
Mayor Schuler?
yes. So Debbie, you have what you need to get this into county for the ballot?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Discussion action items.
If I may interrupt for just a second, to
Sure.
our scout friends in the audience, we've passed the part here in the agenda that's probably most pertinent to your merit badge. The rest of these items are discussion items that we'll just be talking about as township business. So if you guys have any questions later on, I'm available to answer. Okay?
Why are you chasing half our audience out?
I'm not, but they have a specific requirement to fill, and that ordinance about the sale of the wastewater meets their requirements.
I thought that they were here to make sure that their toilets flush properly.
Eagle Scout project.
And right into discussion item for an Eagle Scout project.
That request came from Eagle Scout candidate John Dempsey. What he is proposing and what he'd like to do or is going to do is to put benches over at the Hicks track. What he asked is, with the Township Committee, and I checked with Jack, and it does require Township Committee approval, could he use an ATV to bring the material into the Hicks track, because I think each bench is 200 pounds. I don't know how many benches he's going to do. So rather than make this poor young man have to carry 200 pounds each per bench into Hicks track, I'm suggesting that we allow an ATV to be used for that purpose only.
Isn't he supposed to have like 8 or 9 other scouts? It's only like 20 pounds apiece.
He's supposed to get help? Supposed to get help? Yeah, well, he's supposed to use his ingenuity, and I think he used it well by asking us, rather than ask 9 of his best friends, to carry that equipment into Hicks track.
Jack, do we have any legal issues with insurance for allowing an ATV going through the park?
I don't think any more than for the whole project. And the only reason I suggested that it come to the Township Committee is because the ordinance says you can't have any motorized vehicles off the paved roads.
I'm supportive of it.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all we need, is
problem.
consensus.
Okay.
Okay, I'll get in touch with Mr. Dempsey and let him know. The next item, I guess, is going to be me as well. Detective Matt Nushwanda, as the mayor knows, a couple of years back, or a few years back, we received a couple of motorcycles, I think, from the county park system, one of which is kind of defunct now. It's been used as parts. The second one is old, and it's become quite expensive to maintain. The detective owns a motorcycle. What he's offering to the town is that he would lease, perhaps sell, however it worked out, for $1. The motorcycle that he has, it's a newer one, and it's well-maintained. He'd like it with the understanding that at the end, when he retires, which would be roughly 3 years, that he can receive it back for the same nominal fee. I spoke with Township Attorney Jack Pigeon. I think maybe the better way of doing it is perhaps a lease agreement.
I think that's cleaner if you're interested in doing it, yes.
So we can, lease it from Detective Nushwanda and for $1 a year or whatever nominal fee you want, with a lease expiration of 3 years, or whatever time frame I think he thinks, because he'd like it to coincide with his retirement. So we can use the time frame that he recommends.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, this is something I certainly I'm in favour of. I've seen the motorcycles just about every town function we've had. They're utilised. I've even seen them on patrol. I've seen the one that we have on being used in patrol every now and again. So I mean, I think it's a good thing, and legally, if we can take care of it, however we paper it, that I would be in favour.
Yeah, it's much more cost-effective for him to ride a motorcycle than to drive in a car. So if he's willing to lease us his motorcycle to use as a police vehicle, and it is equipped to do so, then it's certainly financially beneficial from us, from the township's perspective. So I support this.
The only question I have is, what do we do with the other bike? Is it still functional? We're gonna sell it on gov deals? Or?
And oddly enough, I think Warren would like it, so I think the police department here would simply give it to Warren, much
okay.
like we received it.
Well,
We
you'd
received
have
it
to
from-
authorize that, though.
Yeah. We received it from the Parks Department for, as surplus equipment. So I think it was maybe $1 or something like that.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
so we're just passing it on.
So the township, we would have to come back here and the township committee would have to approve this?
Well, I think you could do it tonight if you want, just authorize
Okay.
that it has no value and
And if that's the case, I'd like to recommend that Jack actually work with Detective Dushwanda and work out whatever details need to be worked out.
yeah,
if
that'll
that's
have to be
okay.
formally approved, right?
Okay.
I assume that the bike has to be outfitted with certain police-required equipment?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have all of that already from
The other
the other
bikes.
bikes, from the other two bikes that we have.
The first one, the
I thought
Frankenstein bike
we
that's
had-
been used as parts, right?
I thought we had, aren't the current bikes BMW?
Yeah, but the light kit and the radio are the same.
They're universal?
Yeah.
Universal mounting brackets between a Beamer and a Harley?
Probably not, but I'm sure.
That's why I'm raising the question.
I'm sure Matt can make it work. Yeah.
Okay. And I assume we would be responsible for maintenance on the bike while it's in
Maintenance insurance.
service.
Yeah, as we are with the one we currently have.
Yeah.
Yep,
The
okay.
beauty here is
Okay.
the one we currently have is kind of becoming expensive to maintain. This is a much newer bike, and yeah, there'd be some maintenance, gas, et cetera.
Yep, okay. Yeah, I'm good with that. Do we need an actual motion, or is?
No, I'll have a resolution and a proposed
Okay.
lease for the next meeting.
And I'll reach out to Matt and ask him what time frame, because since it's a lease, that's what we agreed to, I believe. He's gonna
I
have
think
to give
that's
us
the
an
cleaner way.
expiration.
Yeah. Well, we could make it 3 years or his retirement, whichever occurs first.
Okay.
Okay. Verizon cell tower?
Apparently, this is something we've spoken about, and I know Bruce has recommended in the past to look for alternative revenue sources. This is an outstanding issue. We were approached by Verizon several years back, and I think, Jack, maybe you could remind us, where were we left? I mean, I think the idea is we're supposed to negotiate with them as to location, which I believe was already
The location has been identified.
Yeah.
identified.
We have to publicly bid it, which we've done in the past for the cell towers over here at DPW. Usually we get one bidder because a carrier approaches us, and in there we put the minimum.
In this particular instance, they're really looking for a ground lease for the equipment shed and communications
Understood.
equipment, nothing else. I believe the radios would actually go on the transformer lines for JCP&L.
JCP&L.
On the power lines,
They just need a place to put all the equipment.
Right.
Which would be our property.
Right. But it's still a lease of public property. I mean, it's
Yes.
kind of going through the motions, but that's what we've done. As I say, we could just use the form basically that we did for the cell towers.
Yeah, so this is off of Long Hill Road as the transmission lines cross over up.
Just west of Hickory Tavern.
Correct.
And we should have a minimum bid, whatever they've offered to basically
Yeah.
lease it for in the specs, and just then award them the lease, and we can enter into a lease for.
Do we know what going rates are for that?
For a shed, a communications
Yeah,
equipment, I
who
don't know.
knows?
More than we're getting now.
Yeah, exactly.
We get a fair amount of money for the cell towers,
Well,
but that's a different situation.
well, we have the tower on
Right, on our
property
property.
as
Right.
well as the shed, and then I think it's
Understood.
50,000 a vendor or something like that.
60, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Where this is just a shed.
What's the next
Well,
step, Jack? Since it has to be a public bid, we don't need Verizon to come in and actually speak about this.
No, I can speak. I've seen the emails, so I'll just contact
You'll
him.
okay.
And take care of that.
That's better still.
Okay, old business?
I'll just do a couple of, Brenda, did you have something?
No.
No? So I'll just do a couple of old, new kind of business. We'll do a few old. Cooper Headstone Project, which is over at Turtle Park, and I always get that wrong. I think it's not really Turtle Park, it's something else.
It's Turtle Rock.
Turtle Rock, okay, there you go. That's moving along. I think we worked out something with Jack. I mean, there's some liability thing that had to be discussed, but I think that's proceeding as we discussed previously. The Mitchell Road Drainage Project, we received DEP approval or DEP permit for Phase 2, so that is proceeding. There's no, really no other update other than that. I've met with a few of the freeholders regarding, you know, still concerns, I think, from some residents, and I applaud them. You know, some concerned residents have sent some inquiries into the county to some of the freeholders, so I did meet with a couple of the freeholders individually. They're well aware, they're staying on top of it. They're going to provide us with some kind of press release, which if I could give to the Echo Sentinel, so it could be publicized. You know, somebody said to me, oh, this is going to work its way into the winter, and then it can't be done in the winter, it'll be next spring. That's absolutely not true. It's targeted for sometime in September.
Sorry,
that the project will be completed.
Valley Road. This is Valley Road, thank you.
Valley Road. And also, I would point out that the county is doing nearly 5 miles worth of roads this year in Long Hill Township. Not just Valley Road, which I think is 2.4, 2.5 miles itself. They're doing the balance of miles of a road from west of the Circle, which is where they stopped several years back, and they're going to go all the way to Fairmount Avenue. So the Milesville Road will be completed. They've done some work over at Mountain, and there's one other.
Is it Long Hill Road?
Are they doing Long
Are they
Hill?
paving? That's what I'd heard.
No.
I thought that was the
Hill's
other
done.
one. No, the Long Hill Road going down to the cafe.
Going down into...
I'll check. I
down.
did not, last I spoke with Dean O'Leary, I did not know that was on the schedule. That may be 18.
Is that
I'll-
Second County?
County, yeah.
And ask them about division.
Well, division. All right, yeah, we'll do that as well. I would point out again, as part of this Valley Road update, which the delay for the county really was because we asked NJAW American Water to move up a project, a 2018 project, to this year. That's a $2.5 million water main that's just gone down Valley Road, which, when you add it to the previous several years, that's about $6 million in water work that NJAW American Water has done here in town. So people have found out where Long Hill is on a map, and we're getting quite a lot of service from our utilities and from the county as well. One suggestion, this would be new business, I think. It was brought to my attention, and I actually agree, but I think it's something we have to discuss, and Jack will have to advise us, that certain areas like the finance office, the front office, where right here, where our clerk and administrator and our assistants sit, it might be a good idea to have cameras. Now, I don't know what the legality of that is and what you have to do it. I think it's a good idea, you know, without going into the details, you know, the financial, et cetera. I think it makes sense to have such cameras. So I don't know what we have to do.
For security purposes, we're talking?
For security, purely for security.
Yeah, I'll check further, but I don't see any problem with it.
And last but not least, the opioid task force, which and Brendan and I are part of, and I applaud Brendan, even though he makes fun of me with his nonsensical humor, has actually, we've moved the ball a little bit. There's, I don't know if it's already there. There's a drop box that's going to be inside the police station, front door.
That's hopeful. Yeah, we're working. That's been.
We worked
on.
with the county.
Yep,
We got,
working with the
you know,
county.
so there were some details we had to work through, but that's okay. We're going to work with some of the medical community in the prosecutor's office regarding some sort of pledge by our medical professionals here in town. And actually, I spoke with a detective over in Chatham today. Chatham is interested in working with us in this task force that is beginning. So it's, you know, some good things are happening here.
Yeah.
And we'll follow through. I assured them that you and I would meet with them and see if we can come up with some sort of joint effort. They as well are having a terrible, terrible time with opioids in Chatham, as is the whole country. So this is something I think that I applaud Brendan for pushing forward, and we're going to continue.
You know, the one thing, sorry, you're finished, just as a question really for Jack, and I think for the committee as well. I mean, you know, Guy and I are quite serious about this effort, and if we're going to have a task force, is it something that the committee should endorse with a resolution, or or some formality, or?
Yeah, I think you should create it by resolution.
Okay. So that's something that I think we can discuss.
Well, sooner than later. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be tonight, but could we put it
Yeah.
on the August agenda?
Sure.
I think Brendan's right.
Do we need to, whatever we do, if it's going to participate with Chatham, would the resolution need to reflect that?
Well, why don't, let's, Brendan and I meet with them first.
Yeah.
And that was,
Township or borough?
Township.
Oh, okay.
So it's the one that we border with. Hey, more the merrier. If Chatham Borough will join, I have no problem calling Mayor Harris and seeing if they would join as well. You know, I mean, this is something that is getting an awful lot of attention, but it was Committeeman Ray who said attention is one thing, action is another, and I think we're moving it along.
Yep.
You know, if we could just move this ball a little bit down the field, that'd be great.
Thanks, Guy. You finished?
Whatever happened to that energy audit?
Oh, I apologize. That's right. The energy audit has been completed. Now Brendan's going, why did you ask him a question?
Well, I know, I don't need the details. Is it, we can have to see it anytime?
No.
I can read.
Matt, I only have 3 pages. It won't take long. The short story is this. The energy audit is essentially completed. They're going to come forth with the recommendations, which we will deliberate. The one minor hiccup was the library had already completed their energy audit, and they were ready. Their budget was already in place to move forward. As is often happens with the best of intentions, the government got involved and stalled the libraries proceeding with their recommendations. We've worked that out. The complication was because we have 1 meter for the building, and the state was looking at it as one project. You're only allowed one bite of the apple per year. We worked through those details. The library is going to proceed with theirs. And Len, I know I saw him earlier. We weren't going to be able to proceed with the recommendations for us this year anyway. So those recommendations, if anything we adopt, will be done in next year's budget. But we will soon receive the recommendations from Energy Direct.
Thank you.
Mayor, I have one item of new business.
Sure.
If we've moved on to that.
Actually, I was going to ask about, there's something listed under old business. Do you have any?
Oh, bloody hell, what was it?
Banners.
Look, we've talked about this forever. There are, I don't know how many banners, 50, 60, I don't know. Tom may know the answer. And we stumbled over what we would charge. I would recommend, you know, should we cover the cost of the actual banner itself? I don't think it's necessary. Let's put a nominal fee to it. We receive requests from residents all the time. Don't throw them out. I'd like one. So if we put a $25 fee per, and first come, first serve, or whatever amount you guys want. I think the cost was $45 per banner, but you know, $25 is just.
How much for a used banner?
Collector's item.
I mean, you can auction them if you want to be cheap about it. I would just say first come, first serve, $25.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think it's high time that we did something, because we have been talking about it for a while. Fine?
I'm fine with
Yeah?
Okay. There you go.
I just want to let the committee and the public know that we've talked about our police department being in a flood zone and having to move during high water events. We've allocated some money in the budget to do a feasibility, for lack of a better term, to see if they would fit here in Town Hall. Tomorrow, I will be escorting a few architects around so that they can ask questions and look at our facilities. And potentially, this could lead to a proposal for a study to see if they could fit. Right now, it's really just a tour and question and answer, but I do want the public to know that, you know, we are looking at that in terms of extreme events so that we're prepared.
Do we have to pay these architects to walk around or not?
No.
Oh, okay, thank you.
No. If we do move to a proposal phase, you know, there'll be some costs involved for them to do their work, but at this point, there's no cost involved. It's just a site visit.
Thank you. Any other new business? Announcements. Wednesday, August 16th, 8 p.m., Batman Lego movie at Sterling Lake on the beach.
Nice.
Rain date is 8/17. It is free to all Long Hill residents. This event has been generously sponsored by Investors Bank of Sterling. And I believe Ava's Ice Cream will be on hand.
Awesome.
Bring your own refreshments, but no alcohol. This is not Parrot Beach. And at this time, I'll open the meeting to the public for comments on pertaining to any matter, limited to 3 minutes, please.
You first, Joe. You had your 3 minutes.
I'll choose you. 3 minutes.
I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to invite you guys to join me on Sunday. But on Sunday, I discovered that I could get on the internet and play fantasy bike race. And so I spent the day on Sunday pretending to drive a bicycle around downtown Sterling, and surprise, 4 people got broken bones because of the bad pavement, and I won the race. Maybe next year.
You didn't introduce yourself, Dennis.
They know who I am, and they know who you are.
While Joe's coming to the mic, I want to commend the Boy Scouts are still here. So well done. You get an extra badge.
Joseph Conley, Gillette. Since we're going to advertise these meetings relative to the sewer plant sale or promotion, could you put that on TV also, on Channel 37?
Yep.
As an item? At the same time, the people who are still up, tell your friends that by turning into Channel 37, you'll find out when this meeting will be on TV. I think it's 4 more times, so I don't know if we gathered anything tonight, but tell your friends that they'll be up, and of course your friends are all up there, so if you have any questions for these elected officials, do not hesitate. They don't get a salary, but they use a lot of time, and they volunteer. Sometimes they do good, sometimes they don't do good. And that's up to the voters to decide on November 7th.
I just want to make a comment that if you go to the agendas portion of the town website, you can stream these meetings as well.
Yep.
So it's always available, in addition to the 4 replays.
Yep.
I think we might want to consider appointing Joe as the sewer sale ambassador.
Wastewater.
Right, I get paid.
Any other comments? Seeing none?
Are we continuing in executive session?
Yes.
We are, but we're not coming back.
We are, but no further action will be taken. So, can I get a
So moved.
motion to go to exec?
Just go to exec and adjourn it at the end of
And adjourn at
exec.
the end.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.